All right, round I think 3 on this one. So we're gonna put this little bad boy on the older Trinity drop away rest that I have here. Again, this is gonna be a little different because I think this mechanism itself I'm gonna probably try to keep for the most part. The only difference was gonna end up being this screw that's holding this spring. Because this has a tension system. This has an attachment system where you can put a screw on the outside if that's what you wanted to do. You can put a screw over here and tighten it that way. But this one seems a little bit more simple. I'll have to play with it a little bit more, but essentially I feel like it's going to give me a much smoother, tighter fit. And then I don't have to worry about this spring at all making any extra noise or whatever. But honestly, I can definitely say I've had little to no issues. It looks like whoever put this on originally, because I did not put that on there like that. That's short. They shortened the heck out of their draw cord. So I'm probably gonna go ahead and just swap that out while I'm here. And they didn't even tie it right, so it's just coming apart anyway. So I'll fix that while I'm there. I got this back from my brother, and I think that he probably had some work done to it, and it looks like these yahoos probably just didn't give him enough D-loop material to use this system correctly. At least that's what I can see from this, because I believe I had a different color on there altogether originally, but that means I'm gonna have to do a fair bit more work to get this to do what I want in the first place, but that's all right. I'm gonna go ahead and cut it, and I'll save that for actual D-loop material because it's already stretched out, which means that I'll have a whole lot less issues with any D-loops I tie with it. But it's too short for what I want to set up on this, so I'll have to come up with something a little bit different. But maybe it'll fit on that one. I don't know, we'll see. I'll have to probably restring and do another one anyway, but let's see what we got. I'll have to break out the toolbox and start over anyway. This is where a bow vise comes in handy, definitely, for when you're working on stuff like this, especially one that you can kind of oppose and repose. That way you can move stuff around and not have to worry about it. But a lot of this little stuff, if you don't have one, it's not the end of the world. You can still do it. It's just, it makes it a little easier when you're working on stuff, as much as I do, or helping other people set up their bows and not have to get too crazy with it. You know, helping other people learn how to do some of this stuff too is kind of nice, so that they have an idea for the future. So taking that spring off, I gotta figure out what size that is, but I'm guessing it's the same size as that one. So the only pain you have to really worry about is getting it past the little spring that it's on. But man, these older systems are like really robust. I will say that. Like, this is not gonna go anywhere. I'll definitely save it and reuse it at a different point, because it may go right back on there if I don't like the way this turns out. Because man, just the aluminum on here is just super thick and robust. They built some of their earlier ones for overbuilt, I would say, overbuilt some of their earlier stuff for a reason. They wanted to continue making these super robust systems. And then the next one I'll be putting on the RX10 is the same thing that came off of the R7, but this is just the new one. I'm going to throw that one on there. But this is the one that's going on now. Slightly different. I don't know if I'm going to like it better or not. We'll see. I didn't mind it too much on the Epsilon, but you do have to cinch that thing down pretty hard and make sure that it locks just about every time. But I figure this would be probably still better on a target bow or something that's not really the hunting bow style. But even if you're worried about it, you can still pull it tight. I've been able to get it super tight and tie them down. But I do use these nice little pull tabs. That helps, especially with this system. I don't think I'll actually need it for the R7 with this new lockdown mechanism, but I'm gonna put it on there because it might make it easier for me to do that if I need to make adjustments on the primary hunting bow. But this one might actually end up being a little bit longer video. I gotta break out some extras. Let's see what I got. Running low on some D-loop material, but now I've got a whole thing of black D-loop material that I can reuse. So let's see, let's try some green, see what we can get there. Put that back. And then I have some other material too, but cool thing is man, this stuff is just so awesome. So awesome. But let me get that end burnt real quick because we're not going to use this whole string. We try to use the least amount, but not cut it so short that you don't have much to use, because I have to actually go ahead and loosen this. This bow goes in a hard box that, for whatever reason, this string gets in the way whenever it's set up on that bow to put it back in that box. So having the loosening mechanism on this one is actually more important. So, but let's burn that end at first just to kind of make it a little easier. There's already a foot pad down here. Initially, I think that's what I set it up way back here, which I don't know if I like that anymore. I'm kind of moving forward now, about half an inch to an inch on the pad. That's one of those things, the grip pad. But I've also used like some rubber materials other than that. I've used the double-sided rubber for your arrow rest that goes on there. It just locks this rope exactly where you want it, and then you don't have to worry about it after that. So that's kind of one of the reasons I do it. But and then I use kind of a almost like a D-loop tie for this same material, and I run it through if I can a couple times, and then cinch it back through itself. That way, whenever you actually pull on the string, it's cinching it down at the bottom. This side shouldn't move anyway, but you get a really good cinch on it. Hi, baby. So there's one of my pugs coming to visit. So get that tight in. Here, we'll take a quick look at that just so you guys have an idea of what I'm talking about. It's going to look kind of like that, so that you still have kind of this area where that string is going to cinch through. I'm going to tighten it up, and then I'm going to burn that end. That way it doesn't catch. But I mean, that's not going to come off, and you're never going to have to worry about that. If you just do like a single loop tie, that's fine too, if that's what you're comfortable with. But I've never had any issues with this. So I've set it up many different ways just to test it out. I've even tied them in. You know, some people want it looking super fancy, so I put a couple of different ties on it. I've tied it side by side with a knot. That way the extra cord was kind of hanging up there, and then I wrapped it. You know, there's different ways to mess with it. It's overkill at that point. If you're never going to check your bow again or ever change anything out, well, maybe, you know, maybe that's what you want to do, but not for me. I think that this does exactly what I want it to do as far as the cinching goes, and then also using that D-loop tie really locks it into place once you really get it there. I go ahead and burn that pretty good. Then I create a flat spot, which I'm sure most people do, but I like it to mushroom out as much as possible so that I know that I can see that I did it also. And then other people, whenever they look at it, they're like, oh yeah, that's not going anywhere. That's gonna be a nice, tough little lock knot. Let's see.
And then I leave it a little bit loose before I really straighten it up. And then I just kind of cinch it down where I'm comfortable. For me, this bow is not going to have as much additional stuff like this bow might have. The quiver is going to be a little bit tighter here because this is really close, but that's all Hoyt products. This one I have, I think this one came with a tight spot, I think 5 or 6 arrow quiver, I forget. But it doesn't sit nearly as, you know, tight to this area. You still have to watch for your string to be touching on stuff and rubbing or making noise, but I don't know if I'm actually going to put that quiver back on full time, so I'm not super worried about it. But the cool thing is, once you get this tight, and I like to tighten them up on the outside initially, you can always kind of take it and loosen it and slide it over to where you want it, and it cinches back down where you need it. This knot also can be done either on the outside like I have this one, or on the inside where you can cinch it down. For this particular setup, I'm running it on the outside because I don't need to worry too much like these ones. Those ones I run on the inside, it's a little bit different altogether. So, but having the material also helps. That's a big part of it. But that extra D-loop material can be kind of expensive, but you know, for me, if I'm setting up my hunting bow, or I'm asking somebody else to set up a hunting bow that's not gonna mess around, I'm gonna put this kind of D-loop material there instead of what comes with the Hamskeas. Mainly just because I like it better. The cool thing about this knot too is it's not super crazy to get it undone if you needed to retie it or you needed to adjust something. It's not like you're actually putting this on your string where you're putting indents in your string or anything like that. And then when it's fully locked in, the system is super simple as far as like, you just pull it and it keeps it tight. If you have any loosening or anything like that, you just keep pulling it, cinch it down. Like I said, I'm having this one tied to the outside because I want it to be this time around. That may change in the future, but also I don't mind it being on the outside. Typically I run it on the inside, but I don't want it to have any other issues touching at all, especially just for like 3D and archery, outdoors and different things. That's not going to be an issue. One of the other things is once your thing's kind of mounted on there, you don't need that little thing to like cinch it down to stretch it a little bit. So I'll take it and stretch it to where I kind of want it. Stretch that out a little bit. I also pre-stretch it. So a lot of these cuts of material, I'll take it and put it in a vise and stretch it a little bit on my own. That way you kind of have an idea. Not only that, when you stretch it there, it gives me that bend that I'm looking for to tell me that's about how long I need mine. So I'll take that newer style, and then I'm gonna have to mess with it a little bit because I want this to cinch down. Yep, that one fits on there too. Other part of that is you can burn that right away, but for this one, you don't really need to because it has plenty of space. The newer lockdown style from Hamskea, you'll need to probably burn it a little bit and make it sharp so that it fits through there. But see, like right there where that's at, I feel like I could go up a little higher overall, but we'll see how that looks. Because once you have it up here and it's loose, not a big deal. But pulling it down, it's sitting almost nice and level. Once it's pulled all the way down, gives you an idea of where you're sitting at. But now, because I don't have to do the other thing to it, I just wanted to make sure that's a good spot for it. Then I'm gonna actually go ahead and throw the football back in on there, or whatever they call this thing. I don't know how much it actually does for it, but I'll take it out. I'll use it this time around just because it's one of those things that it's probably useful. It may not be useful in the end for this bow in particular, just because of how I'm going to be using it. A lot of people like to run it real low down here. I try to find a spot that's kind of in the middle and doesn't interfere with any more of my attachments or anything like that. And I just start sewing it through. That's kind of the biggest pain about this thing. I almost wish it was a little easier, or there was another system that could be used to do it, but you also can cut your D-loop right away, but I'm trying to get the max amount of D-loop material left over after this. I don't buy it by the spool because I don't use D-loop material that much except for setting these up as well as actual D-loops. So, you know, it starts to be a little expensive when you start using this material on every single bow twice a day, every day. So, but plus, once you get it on this, you want to also do your stretching again, just to make sure that these seated where they are or where you want them to be. Personally, I think I'm going to be hitting it just right for where I want it. Again, it's much easier when you have, you know, something to put it in to give you an idea of where you want it. That's actually probably about right where I want it. That's not bad. All right. And this one is super easy. Just run it back through. And I know it's hard. There's not a lot of good video on this right now. I'm not able to show you all the finer kind of details of doing it, but put it back in there. Make sure that that's on there good. Give it a couple of pulls, and that's going to stretch that a little bit more. And then once you find the area that you want that adjustment, that it puts your rest all the way down to where you want it, because I know that this older one, I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think there's like a finer adjustment for your drop down. So the newer ones do have like micro adjustments. Even some of the cheaper ones that they make do have like some finer adjustments, but they kind of lose some of the micro tuning that you also get with that. But yeah, I think that's gonna be good. So I will take this out one more time. I'm gonna cinch that one down where it's at so I don't forget and take it off by accident and move it, and it's not gonna be right, but it fits on there just like it fits on all of them, just right. I may end up switching it out to the newer style just because the clamp is so nice. It's just different. Like it's very similar to their older setups. It's just that once you put this in and you stretch it and you get it all where you want it to, it's kind of nice to be able to just press it as much as you can, put all that extra tension on it, and then you're done. Like it's kind of nice. Again, don't try to put too much crazy tension on there because you're also pulling down on that rest still, but it does help kind of stretch that out a little bit. Especially with the new knots, you're also pulling on your limb, which limbs can hold quite a bit, but again, you just don't need to hulk out and break stuff. But I think we'll have that last little bit. I think I should be able to get this little tensioner back on there. I hope. So let's see. But I may have to burn it. Oh, I went through. All right. So I am still using the quick tensioner on here, especially, like I said, it's going in a bow case that is going to keep it from being utilized correctly. So we'll just have to see. All right. I can't wait till I get my bow vise. It'll make it a lot easier for me to not only film these videos real quick, but also to work on these things. It's nice that those would have like Go sticks or GoPro sticks or whatever they're called, but it's nice to just be able to check out the overall adjustment beforehand. Because like for this, I'm gonna want to have a smaller piece of this D-loop just for tensioning, but I didn't want it that short. That other piece was super short. I would have come up real short, but see, even that, like, look at that tension that I'm able to draw out of it. For this bow, it'll be fine, but I think the new system is so much better to get that stretch out of it, especially at this like area, because I've also ended up putting knots in these. For bows that don't need to go into a case or whatever, you could put some serious like D-loop knots or whatever you want to call them, and just run them down this until it's almost like a braided cord. But you don't really want to do that until you've got as much stretch out of this and this little rubber dampener as possible, and then you don't have to worry about it. Then it's kind of a non-issue from there. But I'll do that probably a few different times. I'm still wondering if I want to just tie it off right away or not, but I don't think I can. That bow case is going to keep me from doing it, so I use the little rubber grommet to keep my little draw cord there. I think that one's an older one. I'll use the older one. I messed up there. But the end of that material may still need to be a little crisped up, just to make sure that you can get it through the thing without fraying again. So I just take it real quick, warm it up and roll it, try to make it a sharp point. Makes it a little easier going through the thing. It's kind of like that, but I'm gonna have to cut it again anyway. I just wanted to make sure everything else before I finalize it feels pretty decent. And then I'll probably end up doing this again whenever I get my vise set up again, just to make sure everything's good. But so far I like the way everything's looking. I do like that material too, so we'll see. I feel like I can get a good cinch on there. I may make it a little bit longer, so if I end up wanting to cut it and then tie it later, I have that extra material there to do it. So all right, that's done. Let's cut. And then before you get too crazy and burn it, you want to make sure you put it through the other side of the cinching little deal. That way whenever you do it, it's ready to be kind of put on there, which I like it. I think it worked for a long time, but I think the new system is going to just be that much better. And I honestly hardly ever with this material tie it off there. At the end, I just burn a big old knot on the end, and I just make sure that it's nice and mushroomed out, because that material is super strong. If it breaks when you're trying to cinch that down, then that's a lot of tension that you're putting on that little string. Way more than the D-loop material can handle. That's pretty stout. But this stuff's pretty good. I've yet to have any issues doing it this way, but I'll melt it a few different times. I like to make it as mushroomed out as possible, just to give me that extra little knot that's there to lock into this thing. But I'll let it cool down a little bit, because you don't want to do it when it's super hot. It'll come right off. It's soft, it'll just come right through that material. But yeah, I say that's pretty cherry. That's gonna be awesome. But because especially now, I don't think I need to do anything else to this until I really get it set up and sighted in for what I want to do. But This little pre-tensioner works a lot like itself. It just puts that little bit of tension on it, more than you can do with like just holding the string with your finger. And then once that's on there, I put this little googly thing on there, and I still might have done that a little bit wrong, but I like the way it sits. It's gonna sit up like that. That's the newer style on the Hamskea Trinity, coming off the Epsilon. That's not the newest version, obviously, but that's the Hamskea Trinity setup with the newer style as far as the Epsilon draw tie here, and then just putting this system on there, continued with the rubber dampener. But thank you guys for watching. I know that was a long video.